Okay, I think we're live. Apologies to all. We're late by a minute or so. Hi, guys. Welcome to episode 31 of the All About FPL podcast or this live stream, which is going on at the moment. We're going to discuss basically Gaming 35 and see how Gaming 34 went in. Very different, right? How Gaming 34 went, double Gaming, right? A lot of us took hits. It paid off. It didn't pay off. I mean,
How
I
was it
had a
for you
red arrow.
guys?
I got a red arrow. That's
Okay,
straight, to be honest, straight away.
I
So
think I didn't
okay.
take
straight for
a
the win.
hit. Yeah,
Hmm.
I didn't take a hit, and then that in itself was a good move. I felt because there was a lot of minus fours and minus eights flying around. I just bought in
Yeah.
Diaz. I didn't have like Trent, and I didn't have Trent, but then Diaz managed to cover decently for Trent. I would say I had a green arrow. So yeah, decent week. Yes.
That's nice. I had a bench boost planned. I
Mhm,
had Ederson on bench, so he gave me a
mhm,
solid 1 pointer out of. I had Trippier who gave me 2 points. I had
mhm.
Isaac who thankfully gave me assist and like six
Yeah,
and points, and
Sanchez. Yeah.
I think Moreno was there. So total of 11 points came from the bench boost.
Okay.
But
Yeah.
thankfully the team did good because last week I had wildcarded, right? So overall I
Mhm.
think I had like 134 points
Oh,
and
that's amazing.
25k game week, right? So covered up
Mm-hmm.
something. It took me a bit closer to the 1 million rank now, which feels good.
Mm-hmm.
But other
Last,
than that,
yeah,
it's just the final stages, right?
yeah. I think last year this time you were around 500 and 300. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
I
such a
know.
contrast.
Different times.
Different times. Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Perfect.
So I mean, Sankalp has managed to crack the Pep code because he benched
Mm-hmm.
Ederson, knowing the fact that Ederson would be benched. So
I also picked Alvarez, so that worked out well.
Yeah. That
yeah, I
worked.
mean,
That.
shout out to you for picking Alvarez, and I think Suresh picked Enciso. So
Yeah.
and
Yeah. Yeah.
we
Two.
did discuss about Welbeck, who also got in points, and I
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, a lot
spoke
of
about
points.
Mikel Antonio. He also scored a goal. So those two guys.
Good week.
So not
Good
a
week for the
bad
pod.
week
Yeah.
for those who took punts. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
just
Correct,
to
correct.
play for fun. But yeah, I mean, Gaming 34 done and dusted. We'll be looking at these things over the next hour or so. I mean,
Yeah.
basically, we're going to cover 34 a little bit in brief, seeing what we've learned and what we can look at going ahead. Obviously, we look at the transfer trends because the next few weeks are going to be interesting because people are going to go here and there, getting in differentials to climb as fast as possible. Obviously, there are a couple of doubles left for a few clubs. We'll be looking at which teams and probably which assets to target over the next few weeks, and our plans for the upcoming final 4 weeks, including the players to pick for this week, differentials, captaincy, and much more, and few other debates here and that we have planned up. Hopefully, the time permits for that. So let's
Yeah.
quickly, jump into game week 34. Surya and Sankalp, anything you want to address?
I think it was fairly reiterated whatever we have seen so far. The good teams doing good, and the teams that were struggling still struggling. One game that I watched that was very interesting was the Leicester Everton one. It was kind of a 6 pointer, and then it was a mad game. I would say. I think Vardy had an XG of more than two in that game. Like that was a crazy game. I think more teams in the relegation battle are going all out in terms of scoring, so which makes goals a lot more easier to come by, which I think will be the case in the next 4 game weeks as well towards the end of the season. I think Arsenal, as fairly I expected, blew Chelsea away. That was fairly something that I thought would happen, and it similarly kind of happened. The Brighton United game was also the scoreline doesn't do justice. Like there should have been a lot more goals there. Both teams missed a lot of chances, and then in the end, McAllister scored a penalty. So yeah, I think fairly pretty similar weeks that we've seen in the past. But yeah, Leicester's attack was something mind blowing that day. Yes.
But that's a change that we are now expecting, right? One thing I would,
Mhm,
of course, like we look for 34, right? Now I'm thinking,
mhm,
okay, there are manager changes still happening, and we need to take that
mhm,
into account, right? Big
mhm.
Sam is coming into picture now. I cannot
Yeah,
attack
yeah.
Leeds anymore.
I'm still not sure on that though, because I don't know how much impact he could have in like in a matter of few days. I know all
in three,
of
four
how
weeks.
he operates and in that regard, but then the fixtures look so tight, especially with playing City this week. I think they finished the season with a good record. I'm not sure how much of big impact Sam will have, but let's see. Yeah.
So I think we're done right with 34. I think more or less it went according to the script. I mean, the template players did get
Yeah.
the points. So those who took
Yeah.
hits to getting template players obviously couldn't gain points. So that's the reason everybody stuck at the same place. So I think it's getting very frustrating, right? Uh, I think to be honest,
Waiting for the season to get over.
yeah, it's got a point, and I think max to max, I think everybody can get close to about 60 to 70 odd k rise till the end of the season. That's what I feel at
Yeah.
this point.
I think
Not
a
more than
very
that.
good point. I think it goes with the fact that the pricing is so similar these days. It's so easy to get the template because earlier we used to struggle to get the template in, and this season I think maybe if they address that in for the next season, it would be great so that it's a little bit more fun. As you mentioned, it's tough to gain ranks these days, and it's tough to go against the template as well because if it goes wrong, it goes wrong heavily. So yeah, yes,
Yeah,
true.
last two game weeks I've been captaining Salah, right, and I've been hoping that it gives me enough cover, but it doesn't. Like it's like 3 to 4 points gain, and the amount of fear you have, watching those matches, amount of
Yeah, stress.
stress
Yeah,
you take. I don't think it's worth it anymore.
yeah,
Right, so
yeah. Totally agree there.
uh,
Yeah.
initially when the season started, I was very happy because a lot of players were cheap, right? Saka,
Mhm.
Martinelli,
Mm.
Rashford, they
Yeah.
were all picking up a lot of points, including Trippier and all. But now I
Mhm.
feel that, like you said, right, even though we have a lot of money, we don't have a lot of
Mhm.
options. We have only a
Yeah,
set of
exactly.
players who are doing well, and it's very
Mhm.
difficult for
Mhm.
us to, go somewhere. Like we were discussing in last week's pod, we are thinking of,
Mhm.
who's that one player, who's that one player, and thankfully some good
Mhm.
players came out, but it's very difficult to trust them
Mhm.
again to deliver.
Yeah, exactly. I think they had a few premium picks, but then a few premiums didn't go as per plan. For instance, Son was supposed to have a good season and he was extremely high priced, but then he didn't fire this season at all. And Brighton doing well. I think that kind of messed up the whole strategy around pricing this season. But hopefully next season it's corrected so that it's a little bit more fun. Yeah.
Definitely. I think the 6.5 million guys will all go back to 8.5 million, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
then it will become much more difficult for us to uh,
Yeah.
at least
A little
fill
bit
up
more
with
challenging.
Sachis. Yeah, yeah.
Yes, yeah.
Now benching is such a headache. Every time you bench someone and that guy picks up points. Right? That is the only mistake I think we are making. Who to bench?
Yeah, I think I saw someone had Hugo Bueno as a sub and KDB didn't play, so they had a minus one coming in
Minus.
on a free hit. Yeah, yeah, that was horrible to see. Yeah.
I
Perfect.
think KDB not playing has impacted a lot of players, managers
Hmm.
in Gaming 34.
Hmm.
A lot of went sideways, right, over Salah
Hmm.
to KDB, and on free hit, I think that was a big blow for all of them. So again,
Yeah,
game is being very cruel and unfair at most of the times, which again
yeah,
we are witnessing,
yeah.
honestly to say.
Agree.
Anyways, let's look at the transfer trends. That's what has been currently circulating over the last few days. And
Hmm.
obviously, I think the ins make. I mean, Odegaard is back in ins. I mean, last week he was one of the most top transfer out players, including me. I got him
Yeah.
out, and he's
Hmm.
back in. And we have Wilson leading the race at the moment. Hopefully, he stays fit, and there's going to be a lot of dilemma in terms of who to go. I mean, we'll try to
Hmm.
address it initially now. I mean, Rashford, Estupin, I
Yeah.
think most of these are self-explanatory here. I don't think we need to discuss
Yeah,
anything
yeah.
new onto that.
I remember last week a lot of questions we got, should we sell Odegaard, should we sell Martinelli, and we kept saying, hey, just wait and watch because it's Chelsea, right? And I think Odegaard had close to 15 pointer, right? And I sold him just 2 weeks
Yeah.
back on a white card. So I felt so bad,
Hmm.
but that's the thing, right? You have good players, just stick to it. You might not gain ranks, but if you do something stupid, you're going to lose ranks for sure.
Yeah, exactly. Yes, true. I think, as you mentioned, it's pretty much self-explanatory, except for Stones, which is kind of intriguing for me because he has this tendency of being subbed off earlier in games that are
That
won. I think,
that
yeah,
Arsenal goal, that Arsenal
yeah,
goal,
yeah,
right?
Yeah.
yes,
It's
yeah,
just a
and
recency
even
bias.
yeah, and even the Southampton game a few weeks back, he was subbed off right before 60, and especially with Real Madrid, I think there's a bit of a risk there. But let's see.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
Finally, it's come to a point that from Man City, nobody's nailed. We were all saying Ederson, and I mean, we got our
Yeah,
own
No,
taste of our
yeah.
medicine.
I feel like this entire season I've just had Haaland. Almost consistently, I've just had a Haaland. I don't think I've had more than one City player on an average for
Mhm,
most of the season.
mhm,
Sometimes I've gone
mhm.
Foden and maybe a few weeks KDB at max, but very rarely.
Yeah. I think, yeah, Wilson being in the center of this graph says it all, I would say. People moving from Watkins, Tooney, Chota, who's not trained properly yet since that knock midweek. So yeah, I think going a week earlier is always good, especially knowing that in 36 he'll become a template with everybody wanting to move on in. So is it worth to get him ahead of playing Arsenal at home? Um, I already have Isaac, so I don't have the spot to get Wilson in as well this week. But definitely a good shout, I would say, because you're trying to gain ranks and then you just have 4 more weeks. If you really want him, if you no matter want to have him next week, you might as well take the punt and bring him in this week. And he's still owned by just like 3 or 4% of the managers, so it's still a good differential. His EO should be fairly low. He's high on confidence. I feel he would bag a goal. No offense, but I don't see Arsenal keeping a clean sheet this week. So
I
yeah,
don't
I
either.
think he's still a good goal. Yeah.
Yeah, to be
Yeah.
honest, I remember last season when we went to Newcastle, Wilson was so good in that match, and he's on top
Mhm,
form, right?
mhm,
In my gut says,
mhm,
while Howe obviously did not, let us know that who exactly will start. He
mhm,
kept his cards close to his chest. But my gut says Wilson is
mhm,
going to
mhm,
start because he had a very good match last season, and also he's
mhm.
on really good form. Right. He also spoke about whether he can
Yeah.
integrate both the players, especially because Saint Maximin is not playing. But I
Mhm,
would say
mhm,
if you
mhm,
have a
mhm.
possibility, it makes sense. Attack the fixtures, and you know that this guy is going to play.
Yeah. Yeah.
Two matches next week at least, right? So makes sense. I have Alvarez, Haaland, and Isaac.
Yeah.
Like you said, I have that problem.
Mhm,
If I didn't have, I would have
mhm,
definitely gone. Now I feel
mhm,
that
mhm,
okay, I will have to wait and watch. Next week I will have to see.
mhm, mhm,
Once say the title is decided and Pep has nothing to worry. I think Haaland might get a bit
mhm,
rested for the Champions League fixtures,
mhm, mhm,
and then we
mhm,
might
mhm,
have a easier decision to make Haaland to Wilson perhaps.
mhm, mhm. Yeah, probably. That's a good shot. Yeah.
A lot of ifs are involved. So again, the Champions League games are going to dictate the play at least for City.
Mm,
Anyways, let's look
yeah.
at the upcoming doubles that we have. So we just have two double game weeks that are going to come. That's in 36 and 37, and just we have like
Yeah.
five cumulative teams that are split up in both the weeks. And
Yeah.
I think more or less we will have our teams loaded up with players from them. I think for sure everyone by now will have at least triple Brighton, double United, double City, and triple
Yeah.
Newcastle to say the least. And
Yeah. Yeah.
those who
Yeah.
have Kepa might have one Chelsea coverage. So
I think I wouldn't even play him in his double in 37. He plays City and United away. I don't even have the confidence to play him in the double. So that's how bad Chelsea are at the moment. Yeah.
Yeah, you have to still go away from them. First of all, I
Mhm.
think while Kepa is perhaps fixed, no other Chelsea player I can be confident of starts now because Lampard is like, hey, we have nothing to lose. We are just playing, right? If this guy is not playing, let me give that other guy a chance. They have 30 players, right? They have a lot of opportunities to keep rotating.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Yeah.
Chelsea is a
Exactly.
huge no-no.
Yeah, I think it comes down to the fact like which Newcastle assets you want to own for the double next week. Do you double up on Isaac and Wilson, or do you want to take some punch in midfield, like say um, Joel Linton, or probably still trust double Newcastle defense, which has not been great. Otherwise, it's pretty template because all of us have triple Brighton, like double City United at least. So yeah, nothing left to differentiate, even though there's two double game weeks coming up back to back in 36 and 37. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, one question that I had, even I have been thinking. I think
Hmm.
on an average, most of us will have double Newcastle with one attacker. Let's say for the sake of argument, it's Isaac, Trippier, and Portman.
Hmm. Hmm.
And in my case, I have Watkins as my third forward. So there are a lot of
Hmm.
managers who are looking to ship out Portman and get in
Hmm.
Wilson for Watkins, and then fill that spot with any other player. What do you guys
Hmm.
think of this move for 36?
I think yeah, I'm in the same situation as well. Like I have Isaac already, and I have Botman and Trippier. And if I need Wilson, I need to move Botman out to get Wilson. I think I would still do it because I think Botman to Dallo or Lindelof or one of the United defenders is like a fair move because United play a lot more home games before the end of the season, and we are better at home rather than away from home. So that's a decent move to get in a United defender free at that Newcastle spot, and then move out Watkins to Wilson. I think it's a good move, but you don't get much out of defenders these days, especially towards the end of the season, and when we'll be seeing a lot more goals, little less concentration, lapses here and there. So I would do it, but then you shouldn't be expecting too much from the defender you're trying to bring in, rather than focus on that attacker you're trying to bring in and play him in your team for the next 2 3 weeks. Yeah.
Yes, even I'm more or less looking to do the same. I think I might get in a city defender at that point.
Hmm.
We'll see. It depends on who's going to play, who's going to keep their place. So it's
Yeah,
all
yeah, yeah,
totally upon that.
yeah,
So I think we've covered a bit on this. Let's quickly look at the
yeah,
next. That's the game week 35 fixtures. We'll wait until
yeah,
Sankar gets back to discuss
yeah.
the other key topics. But let's quickly run through the fixtures for this week. I mean, any games that entice you, any players to pick.
I think it all comes down to what happens with Man City because that fixture is prime for uh, FPL points, but then it's still not clear who will play, how many minutes they'll play. So, but the one good news is that it's the first fixture before deadline, so we might have team news. So for me, I already have Jack Grealish and I also have Watkins. So my idea was to wait a little bit to see if Grealish is playing or not, and then if he's not playing, then it's a direct switch to Foden or Maris, whoever is available. If not, then Watkins to Alvarez is also a very good one because that game could have 5 6 goals easily, and with or without Haaland, that means, and you need to cash in those kind of fixtures. So that's one fixture that's really interesting to take notes. The Forest Southampton game is also really interesting for me. I think I was looking a little bit in Morgan Gibbs White's number. I think he's definitely someone that's a good 1 week punt. If you want to punt on a player this week, I will say Gibbs White. Southampton are dreadful away from home, and then Forest at home are always a great side, and they need those 3 points for safety. So that's another interesting game. Purely from a non-FPL perspective, Newcastle Arsenal should also be a really good game because that's Arsenal. It was this fixture in the last season that Arsenal lost their Champions League spot. So there's a lot to play for Arsenal. So let's see how that game goes as well. Yeah. Do you have any like say key fixtures or differences that you want to target?
I mean, as far as I'm more interested in looking at how the bottom half of the table is going to
Mm-hmm.
shape up because we have a
Yeah.
lot of
Yeah.
teams that have a lot to play. I mean, if we quickly go to the next slide that has the current table,
Mm-hmm.
and we have basically
Mm-hmm.
Southampton who are pretty much, I think, a point where
Done.
mathematically they are going to get relegated.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
and we have the next half, I think, until West Ham where it's very tight. If even a
Mm-hmm.
single
Mm-hmm.
team slips up for 2 games, there's going to be movements up and down. So I think all those sides that are involved in such games, maybe West Ham against United. Leicester, I think Leicester are playing Fulham. I mean, we have
Yeah.
some very important games there. I think those teams need to wake up, and I think we may end up getting players from these sides who have a lot to play at this point. Then I think sides that will go into the beach mode very shortly. I think after this week also, because I think most of
Yeah.
the sides will
Yeah.
cross the 40-point mark, so it should be done.
Yeah, I think the Fulham Leicester game is also should be equally interesting. I think Fulham lost Ream, who was kind of an integral part of Silver's setup, and they struggled a bit against Liverpool as well. They played midweek, and Leicester would look to cash in on that. And I think Jamie Vardy is another again a wild 1 week punt, or like Jamie Vardy is a decent option till the end of the season. I know he's not kindly priced. I think he's 9 million based on his previous. Performances in the past season. But then, yeah, that's another interesting game for Leicester because they badly need that win. And teams that have a lot to play for should score a little bit more goals in those fixtures. So, looking forward to that. Yeah,
I mean, I think that pretty much is done with 35 fixtures. There are teams that
yeah,
will, I mean,
hmm
grind the results out. I mean, we obviously have
yeah,
City and Arsenal who have a
hmm
lot to play for. I mean, for the next few weeks, I mean, for City at least 2 weeks or so,
yeah,
then I
yeah,
think they're pretty much there done.
yeah.
But the other sides like United and Liverpool, I mean, the race for the fourth place is on, so we will have a few interesting couple of weeks with their assets.
Mm. Yeah, I think unlike other seasons as well, this season has been pretty tight. I think by this stage in previous season, a lot more team would have nothing to play for. But this time, the relegation battle being tight and the race for top four being like equally tight as well means there's only a few teams that got nothing to play for, like say Palace, Chelsea, who else? Yeah, I think very few teams have got Wolves, Brentford. Yeah, I think other than that, I think every other team is either in a top four battle or in a relegation battle or going for the title. Yeah.
So I think with Sankalp back, let's move to the next topic because I think that's where we'll kind of spend more of our time. Is how do we
Yeah.
actually navigate the next few weeks until 38? Like
hmm
how do we finally like reach the end point wherein it is? I mean, planning is very easy to do. I mean, the execution
hmm
is tough, and it's not in our hands. Really, it's the players who need to perform. So, I mean, we have two set of I think telling. I think one is from Hub and one is from Fix. We have two
Yeah.
screenshots with how they are, sorting the
Stacked. Yeah.
difficulty.
hmm hmm hmm
So we have Brighton
Yeah.
here on top, followed by Newcastle
Yeah.
and United. So it's
hmm
pretty self-explanatory.
Yeah, I think one key learning or lesson I would say from my previous seasons of playing, especially in the closing stage, is that people would tell you to go take hits, like or attack those final few weeks. But the thing is that you don't have a lot of games for that hit to repay you. And especially, for instance, you take a -8 to bring in a defender, and then swap around a few attackers. You have like just 4 more game weeks for that hit to pay off. I think I've been burned personally as well in the last few seasons of trying to over attack those last few game weeks based on 1 week options, which doesn't go well, and then your team is suddenly destabilized for the last few game weeks. So one advice that I would say is that attack, but then attack responsibly, not go recklessly, and then bring it to a -8 or a -4 each week because you lose more, and the chances of gaining that is lesser. I'm not saying you'll not get a 20 pointer from the one person that you are bringing in, but the chance of that happening is lot lesser. And I think the ticker probably explains it in itself. Brighton and Newcastle are the two teams that you would want to have maximum players from because those are the two teams that have good fixtures plus also the volume of fixtures. They both double next week. Brighton will double in 37 as well, and Brighton have Everton this week at home, so that's a prime fixture to attack. Yeah, I think that's what I gained from the remaining fixtures. Few teams that we just spoke about that have something to play for could have a few FPL options emerging from include Leicester, Forest, if you want to punt on a Forest attacker, Gibbs White, and things like that. Teams that are involved in the relegation battle are always going to give you a few options here and there as well.
Yeah, I think the focus has to be on the teams who have something to play for. Like we spoke, there will always be some teams who have just thrown out or given up, right? And we need to avoid players from those teams. I think United and Brighton are fairly interesting teams. The only issue is most of us already have two or three players from the team, right? So that
Yeah,
does
yeah,
not give
yeah.
us a lot of leeway, but there's flexibility for including Liverpool now, because including Liverpool are now looking much better as a team, right? So these are the three good teams which we need to attack. I think Liverpool is where we have maximum amount of flexibility, right? For example, now Diaz has come back in, right? Luis Diaz, and he will become an option now. And Jota is injured, so this week we know that Darwin Nunez is perhaps an option, or Hakpo is an option, right? So if you know that you want to go for attackers, you can go attackers this way, or you can go defense. I had Trent and Allison in the last double game week, and it really paid off well, right? So there are options in these kind of teams where we can go for. But like you mentioned, I would strongly obviously recommend against taking big hits. Generally, I like to do it as well, but you do it when you have a lot of good sample to recover from, right? To get that ROI
Yeah,
from. Here you won't get that.
yeah,
So
yeah.
small hits it's okay, -4, but don't go for -8, -12. Those kind of madness. Don't do it. Play sensibly, right? And I think 35 feels like a good week to just sit back and see how things go, right?
Yeah,
36 and
yeah,
37 both had doubles, and that's where you can attack a bit more wisely
yeah,
perhaps.
yeah, yeah, yes. True. I think for me, one more thing is that Arsenal's 37 and 38 fixtures. I think maybe
Yeah, very
City would
good.
have wrapped up the title by then, but still Arsenal would want to finish strongly and then like take the title challenge to the next year. I think Forest and Wolves like are two good fixtures for the Arsenal attackers. Yeah, we might. I think I don't have anyone left now, but then I would definitely look to have one of them or two of them towards the end of the season as well to once again gain a bit from that. So it's
Yeah.
looking at those two fixtures. I would say rather than just one fixture alone. A lot has been said on Man City versus Leeds. Once again, the one reason that I'm very much receptive towards taking big hits to get Alvarez, Mares, or moving out Grealish is that it's for that one game, and then they could even start and play just 45 minutes, and then you would again once again want them out of your team in one week, and then you would want another player. So it all comes down to the fact that how much you could gain from them, and if you had to move them out, who's your alternative and how you get that. So that kind of backup plans also need to be there, otherwise it will result in ranks falling heavily. Yeah.
I have both Haaland, Alvarez, and Ederson. Ederson obviously goes to my bench now. I have Alisson playing, but I am a bit more skeptical because we don't know what to expect from Leeds. I know City will win the match for sure, but Leeds will not be as open. So the entire point of taking a hit to bring in a Mahrez or a Foden or a Alvarez is you gain a lot from it, right? And that makes takes care of the hit. I know for sure Sam is going to ensure that the entire team sits deep, right? So you may very well have a 1-0, 2-0 kind of a game, right? And
Yeah, yeah,
that
yeah.
entire the hit that you took, right? You might not get ROI out of it, right? So this week makes more sense for me to wait. Even for City assets, I'll not jump in this week. Whoever you have, just hold on to them unless you know for sure that person is not playing, right? That's when you make
Yeah,
another
yeah,
change.
yeah.
But do not take hit for even
Exactly.
for City players. This week does not seem like the
Yeah.
week to do that.
Yes, makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean to quickly, I mean talk on this slide what's right up on the screen. So regarding this fixtures, what has happened this season, I feel is that teams that are going to have a good run towards the end, we are actually loaded up with them. While in the past we had to adjust and get in those players. Now we have the luxury of having these players by default. I mean because of the template, that's how it has worked. So I think realistically it doesn't make sense taking big hits from now on. I think most of us can just get away for until game week 38 with just maybe a -8 for the entire next few weeks. That's it. In case otherwise we
Yeah.
could just roll up with our free transfers because we all have players from these sides that will play multiple games. So
Yeah, yeah,
The
yeah.
real question
True.
comes
Very
up
true.
to picking up differentials from the teams that will actually deliver and have a lot to play for. So
Mm-hmm.
that's where it is difficult to nitpick those players because it's they are not consistent for a reason, and that's why
It's
they are
tough.
differentials. So
They are a differential. Yeah, correct. Yes. Anyways, let's look at a few. I think I had a few options that we could discuss as well. So let's see. Yeah, I think. Yeah, I'll go. Like I had a few players that were like really stood out for me when I was like kind of pulling out numbers and from what I've seen. I think doubling up on Isaac and Wilson is also a good differential move, especially in 35 or in 36. Considering the fact that most of the teams will have at least one of them. There's a huge risk that they both might not start together and they'll be playing together only for a lesser amount of time. But still, like in the last 7 games, Wilson has started only twice, but then he still scored 8 goals. So that is in just 300 odd minutes. That's unbelievable. Like he's up amongst the top three players for most goals scored in a single month. And I owned Wilson in the past season, this season as well. He's a very streaky player. Like he goes on goal scoring runs, and then that's seen once again as well. And he's someone I think will be wanting to finish the season strongly. And Wilson, even though like the odds are against him to consistently start, it doesn't matter because Newcastle keep producing so many good chances, and it doesn't matter if he has to play 90 or 60 or 45 to score a goal or two. So I think Wilson is someone that's really strong, that stood out for me. Um like I would I would probably put it in a different way. I would call these picks as punts rather than differentials because it's even more riskier move than a differential. I think Vardy, from what I've seen under Dean Smith, is that he's now the focal point, as in the attack is around him. Leicester are playing the way that suits Vardy, which was not the case under Rodgers. And I think he had a goal or assist contribution in all the games he's played so far under Smith. He's got good numbers, and then he has a very good partnership with Madison. Like if you are someone that's way down in the ranking and you just want to risk it, I think Vardy is someone that's a huge punt that I really liked. Sankar, do you have any other players that you might think could do well in the last 4 games?
Um, I think these names are pretty good. Wadi is someone I had not thought of, and thank you for that because, like you
Mhm.
suggested, Dean Smith is a very you know shrewd coach, right? He plays.
Yeah, yeah.
His system is more dependent on the players, right? And he
Mhm.
has taken Leicester back to the basics, right? He's like, hey, Wadi is your main man. You need to put him in, and he'll score you goals. Simple as that. Let's
Yeah,
continue doing
yeah.
the same thing. So it's a very good punt. Louis Diaz, we spoke of from Liverpool. I think he's going to be a player who's not playing as much, and we can definitely go for. And I think one player we are not talking about is the United boy, right? Which both of you
Mhm.
United fans are not telling me, but I feel like Bruno is looking really good over the last few weeks now. And
Yeah.
finally, that resulted in a good return in the double game week. I think he gave 15, 16 points. I didn't have him, and I was like, hey, I could
Mhm.
have had, but I never thought of him. And the fixtures also look really good for United, right?
Yeah.
Including a
I
double,
think a lot more home
including a
games
double.
as well. Yeah, including a double. Yeah.
Yeah.
And including a lot of home games. I think we are a much better side at home rather than away from home. I think we have not won against the top 9 this season away from home, which is kind of a very bad stat, which needs improvement if we are to challenge for a title in the upcoming season. Yeah, but that's a good point. Bruno is definitely a good shout. Maybe a Salah to Bruno move down the line before the double for the ones that have Salah. I think
Yeah.
that's a good move. Again, it's about jumping a week or so earlier than the expected timeline because like we discussed for Wilson, 36 is going to be a week when everybody's going to get Wilson. Similarly, 37 is going to be a week when everybody's going to want Bruno as their second option. Is that 1 week prior move will work out? I think it should because, as you said, he's back doing what he does best. He's creating chances.
Yeah.
He's creating runs. Well, yesterday as well, shame that we couldn't finish. Like we had one in the very first minute in the first 2 3 minutes, I think. Yeah, Luis Diaz is another option that I was firmly behind after his appearances after the injury. I also noticed Brentford he has a very good matchup against Brentford, so he's another wild punt that definitely came across my eye. Yeah,
And one thing I wanted to
Aditya,
remember, right?
yeah, yeah,
Whenever we started with Diaz, I remember early in the season, whenever Diaz used to play well, it used to always have an impact on Salah because
mhm,
Diaz used to always cut in a bit and
yeah,
Salah used
yeah,
to always stay wide, right? So something
definitely.
we have seen, and now again I'm
Mhm.
seeing in the last, I think in the last match it was pretty clear. We got lucky with a Salah penalty. I had Salah captain. I was like, okay, thank God. But the moment Diaz started playing in well, we saw Salah getting wider and wider. Right. So one thing to keep that in
Mhm.
mind that if you're going Diaz, you can go Diaz and Bruno, right, rather than Salah and someone else.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
it's a pretty
yeah.
punty and strong differential to another combo.
Yeah, definitely agreed on that. And two other small team players that could kind of stand out was Eze. I think one thing Roy has done is that basically say Eze is the key attacker in the team, which is not the case under Vieira. I'm not even sure why Vieira had an agenda against starting Eze towards the end of uh, his Paris managerial career. I think he's the focal point for Palace attack now. He's shooting a lot. He's getting into those goal scoring positions. Like uh, something similar to what we see with Odegaard at Arsenal. Like he's always at the right place, the right time to shoot, and that's seen in the numbers as well. Like he's very good numbers. He's been consistently delivering. Like if you're looking at just the 1 week punt, just for game week 35 alone. I think Gibbs White is someone that's really eye catching for a 1 week option. He's playing at home to Southampton. Like it's a crucial match to get 3 points, and he also won the penalty and scored the last penalty that they had. Baran Johnson is not on the pitch though, but I think he scored the goal and maybe he might be on penalties as well. He creates a lot of chances and he's been involved in a lot of Forest goals in the um, last few games. So that's another 1 week punt. Eze is someone that could hold good for till game week 38 because Palace are one of the teams that have the best fixtures. They don't have a double, but then they have really good fixtures till the end of the season. So that's another decent option in the longer term sense till game week 38. Man City again, it comes down to the fact that who's starting, which we might know or we might not know. So it depends on that. Like you can call Foden, Maris, Alvarez, and KDB all as good options, but you need to be sure they're starting or not, which may be the case
Yeah.
tomorrow before deadline. But yeah,
I,
but
I think once
yeah,
the
we
season,
know.
once the title is done, perhaps we can, once the title is done, that, Pep is going to play the defenses a bit more. And then perhaps you can take a punt.
Yeah.
It's going to be a punt.
Yeah. Yes. I think for me, I have Grealish, and I would only make a transfer this week if we surely know Grealish is not starting, and one of Maris or Alvarez is surely starting to make it worth uh, wasting the free transfer without knowing the City attacker will start or not doesn't make sense for me. So that's what
Correct.
I'm planning at the moment. Yeah. Aditya, any options from here or anyone that's missed out that you feel is a good option for the last few game weeks?
I mean, in the last episode, I did speak about YD. I mean, looks like everybody's going to go on the trade. Those who wants to take, I mean, those who wants to take the punt. I mean, he
Hmm.
can, but
Hmm.
I don't see many other options here. I mean, all these are basically Luis Diaz is someone I think those who want to go Salah less or don't have Salah can maybe go for it. Other than that, I realistically don't see any other option. I mean, Fernandez, I'm pretty sure most of us are going to get him in before the double
Yeah,
or for the double
yeah,
gaming. So
correct.
that sideways move is going to happen. Other than that, I don't really see
Yeah, yeah.
any other players. I mean, with regards to Grealish, I think even if he's benched or he comes off the bench, it's fine because I think he's an important player for City at the moment,
Hmm.
based on the way they're playing.
Hmm. Hmm.
So from a long term perspective, I think for the upcoming double, he may end up playing both the games. So we don't know. I mean, it's when you pick and choose to pull the trigger that matters. If you transfer him out and you gain points,
Yeah,
well and
yeah,
good. If not, then you need to
yeah,
look
yeah.
ahead. I think that's how it's going to work.
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah, correct.
Okay, I think next we have a couple of quotes from Pep from his press conference. I think
Yeah,
to quickly summarize, I think the KDB is more or less likely to play if he's fit. That's what I think he's been saying.
yeah, yeah.
Edison
I
is
think
going
he's
to
also
start.
said Edison. Yeah, yeah. Yeah,
I
and
think other than that,
he
that's it.
he's yeah. I think he's once again not definitive in anything that he answered, but then he was very passionate in the way he about his players' fitness. They are used to playing a lot often these days, so which is a good indicator um, that he might not rotate a lot. So this is what I gained from his coach this today, because generally he's always someone that's receptive of number of games they play. But then this time, I don't know if it was to try and push the players a little bit more, but he was very confident that we have been used to playing like this, and then uh, we are expected to play like this. So my thought is that he wouldn't rotate too much against Leeds, which is far more away from what's been spoken that he will be rotating a lot. So I feel they'll still stick to their 11. I think with the fact that the league is not wrapped up yet. So I think once that is done, we could see a lot more changes. But I don't see him change a lot at all. And I feel KDB and Edison will be back in the 11 as well. Yeah.
Yeah, I think this is something that we have seen from Pep this season finally, right?
Mhm.
Where
Mhm.
he's gone for stability in the team. He's not gone for
Yeah.
a lot of rotations. Only rotations comes when someone gets injured. That's when he changes, and he changed the structure once, right, recently. Uh, Very similar to Brighton, he made a change. Apart from that, fairly consistent. Haaland has played almost all the games, right? Everyone went fit. I think KDB was the only player who was not playing much in the first half and then started playing in the second half. Apart from that,
Yeah.
he's fairly consistent both in Champions League as well as Premier League. So this week, like you said, the league is not wrapped up, so he continues to play, and his comments are fairly clear on that, right? That
Yeah.
we
Yeah.
want to go 4 points above Arsenal, simple as that, and to
Mhm.
give him some gap. And once they have closed on, is perhaps they'll swing around. So if you have a City player, I would say just hang on unless you get a very definitive news that someone is playing or
Mhm.
not playing. Just play them and hope for
Mhm.
the best. Most
Mhm.
of the players, I think, starting XI players will play somewhere around 45 to 60 minutes minimum, and
Yeah.
then depends, right? Where you
Yeah.
strike.
Yeah. True. Yes.
So I think next we have quotes from the other press conferences that will I
I
think
think
Jota is
yes.
still
Yeah.
he's back, right? I think it's a touch and go. We'll have to see. I don't know what he's going to do.
No, but he was kind of indicating that he trained, but then he didn't train with the team. He said he had no contact training. This was one of the reasons I was talking a little bit more about Luis Diaz in the past section. I think that what makes Luis Diaz a very good option as well. But he himself had a knock. He that was not spoken about today, so I'm assuming Luis Diaz is cleared. But Jota seems to be someone that's going to be starting from the bench rather than starting this week, in my opinion, from what Klopp has said. Yeah,
Yeah, feels a bit early for him.
yeah, yeah. And on Arteta, I think that was surprising because there was news yesterday that Gabriel was ready to play, but then he was saying
Yeah,
it is not good. So I think he's downplaying Gabriel. I think Gabriel should be back, considering that
I
Saliba is already
expect
not there.
so. Yeah, I expect so because Arteta has done this a lot this season. Whenever
Yeah,
someone
yeah, yeah.
has slight fitness worry, he will just say that guy is not available. So ideally, I
Hmm.
expect Gabriel to start.
Hmm.
Uh, Primarily, like you said, Saliba is not there, and playing holding and queer would be a very strange combination, extremely
Hmm.
dangerous. So as long as Gabriel has still some possibility of playing, he's
He
definitely
will
start.
play. Yeah, and Eddie Howe as well kept the cards really close in terms of playing Isaac and Wilson together. He said both of them are valuable, but then he didn't reveal anything about playing them together. I also have a feeling that Wilson will start because I don't think he would want to go two strikers against a strong team like Arsenal. I think he would experiment that in an easier game to kind of to ease their chemistry together. Uh,
Yeah.
it's bad news obviously for Isaac owners like you and me, but then that's the price we paid for for an earlier transfer. Let's just hope he comes in and scores. Yeah. I think that rounds up the key
Nobody's
injury
nailed at
news
this
as well.
point.
Yeah,
Nobody's nailed from there. We don't know who's going to play.
except Bruno
Anyways,
Fernandes. Yeah.
yeah, so Bruno.
Yeah.
Okay, so I think let's quickly look at our bus teams, and I think there's one question from the chat that we'll also answer out.
Yeah.
So, Sankalp, here's your team.
This is my
Yeah.
team. A bit like I said, entire season it has been about who do you bench. So I'm between Mitoma and Isaac.
Mhm.
Still not sure. I think I might go to Mitoma. And during our conversation, that helped me. Now I feel much more confident
Mhm.
about benching Isaac and playing Mitoma. I want to
Mhm.
start Martinelli primarily because I think minutes are there, and also Trippier is a very
Mhm.
attacking fullback, so I think there will be space for him to run inside. I expect Arsenal to score just like Newcastle to score, right? So
Mhm.
that's the reason. I think apart from that, the team is fairly clear, right? I can't. I think this is after a long time. I will go for a Haaland captaincy because it just feels like
Mhm.
this might be the week everyone else will do the opposite. So let me stick to Haaland.
Mhm. I think I still remember the last time people tried to go away. He didn't start. Alvarez started. I think I captained Alvarez as well, and then in the end he came in and scored a goal. Like it was a, and it is all for that 1 point of difference and so much stress. So yeah, just
Yeah.
play it on Haaland and leave. So, yeah. Yeah, I think I'm fairly set as well. I wanted to roll the transfer this week, and I wouldn't do a transfer unless I firmly know Grealish is not starting. If that's the case, then I would probably go Maris or Foden, whoever is playing. Otherwise, I'm looking to roll. I'm firmly sure that Arsenal will score. So Trippier and Botman both on the bench. Mitoma versus McAllister. I'm still not sure of what to do there. It was painful to see as a United fan, but a McAllister owner to see him score that penalty yesterday night. Yeah, but it is what it is. So let's see. I would like to play both of them, but that would mean benching
I
Watkins
think
against yeah
I think if Grealish doesn't start, rather than making a transfer, I think it's an easy move for you to play McAllister. It's a better
McAllister. Yeah,
move,
that
right?
yeah
Yeah,
yes. And selling Watkins is also something that we've seen in the transfer trends. A lot of people moving from Watkins to Isaac Wilson or Alvarez. But he's playing a Wolves team that's pretty much safe, and then they shipped 6 goals against Brighton last week, so it doesn't feel confident enough for me to do that move. And
correct, correct. Makes sense.
with his ownership reducing, you might as well hold and see if he scores because I think the United game was the first game under Emery in which Aston Villa failed to score. So that shows how much of a decent attacking side they are. So I
Yeah.
firmly feel Villa will score. Probably hoping for a Alex Marino assist and a Watkins goal. So let's see if that happens. Yeah, yeah,
Makes sense.
yeah.
Okay, so this is my template team. I don't think I need to discuss anything here. I mean, if Grealish doesn't start, I'm going to start Mitoma. As simple as that. I am not looking
Yeah,
to transfer out Grealish anyway because City will have a double, and I'm sure he's going to play one of those two games. So I'm not going
yeah,
to
yeah.
waste a
Makes sense.
transfer to get in and out and all. So
Hmm.
typical template team. I'm not going to talk. I'm a bit disappointed that we lost yesterday. Luke Shaw's clean sheets and all those secondary, but yeah, I mean, it gets a bit annoying. But
Yeah, yeah.
that's the part and
I
parcel
think
of the
it,
game. I mean, don't,
yeah, it
it's
must have
annoying.
been hard for Van Bissaka because throughout the game he was tormented by Mitoma, but then he held him quiet for once again. But then in the last minute of the game, like yeah, it was heartbreaking. Yeah, but from an FPL perspective, it was good because I had only one. I had only Rashford, but then I didn't have a United defender or Bruno. So as painful as it was slightly less painful considering it helped me move few ranks. Yeah.
Okay,
Perfect.
so I think we're pretty much done with our first team's captaincy. I'm pretty sure is no need to discuss. We all know who everybody's going to captain here. I mean, in terms of
Yeah.
differential, if somebody doesn't wants to go with Haaland, who wants to climb up ranks, who would be probably your other option?
I think a lot of people are being saying Salah is the differential captain, but then I would kind of go back to what Sankalp said a few minutes earlier. Like Luis Diaz playing has actually made Salah a not so great captaincy option. He of course got two goals, both of them are penalties. Like the double game week gods were kind enough on us, but I'm not confident to move to leave out Haaland and then go Salah captain just for the sake of being a differential. I think that window has crossed. If you'd have captained Salah in double game week 34, you would have made a little bit more points than Haaland, I would say. Obviously, this would change if Haaland doesn't start. Like even if he doesn't start, I would still put it on Haaland because he can come in and score two or three in just warm. It would be a good warm up for him ahead of Real Madrid midweek. Yeah. Sankar, what would you do? Like if you come to know the news that Haaland is not starting, would you punt on someone else or you still stick with Haaland?
I was thinking of Alvarez. If I know that Haaland is start, just continue to be on that same City attacker. Right,
Mhm,
it made sense. Salah is a. I feel like it's a low ceiling option, but he will give me some points, right? So it will be a
mhm,
safer one to take. I really
mhm,
thought of. I cannot do it this season. It's just not working for me. But I really thought of
mhm.
someone like Trent, right? Because
Yeah,
he's
I
playing
know.
so well. He almost scored one goal against, I think, in the last match. I think it was by Viscous he missed the goalpost, and he almost
Mhm,
had an assist as well. So he was fairly there. He's playing there, and Allison is in such top form, and Tony scores every alternate matches, right? So I expect Tony not to score in this match. So going by the same logic, right? So
uh, uh,
if you have a clean sheet, then I think Trent has a very high ceiling, might be higher than Salah even, right? So
yeah.
these are some of the names. I think if I know that Wilson starts, Wilson is a fairly good shout because I think he'll score. Right? Whoever is the Newcastle forward starting, they are also good
Mhm.
option. Who do Spurs play this week?
Crystal
Spurs play
Palace.
Palace.
Palace, yeah.
I think Kane or Son, in case anyone has them. Right? I think a lot of people will have Kane. I think Kane is a decent shout as well because Palace will concede.
Mhm,
Right,
mhm.
but these are all differential names, so it makes sense. If you know Haaland is starting this team,
Yeah, exactly. Just answering the question, I'm planning to roll this game week and then thinking of Grealish to Willock and Greenwood to Isaac or Wilson. How does that sound? Is Willock a good punt? I'm not sure on how good he is. Like he finished strong 2 seasons back, but then he sometimes sits way too deep from an FPL perspective, and you have a lot of other attacking options around that uh, midfield slot. So I'm not confident on that. Sankal, what's your thought on that?
I would go for it. I think it's a good shout, primarily because in the games that they attack, like you said, there are some games where they sit back deep and then Willock does a lot of dirty work. But I think
Mhm,
the games that we are seeing in the double are both fairly good attacking games where it will go back and forth, right? And there's
mhm,
a good chance that Willock can, give you an assist or even give you a goal, right? I think he's creating
mhm,
way more than he was creating earlier. I've not seen the
mhm.
stats, but a lot of people have gone Jolinton as well, so just check the stats for Jolinton or Willock, but I think even Murphy, right? He's getting those
Yeah, yeah,
opportunities as well. He scored two against Spurs, right? So just it's a good thought, but do a bit more analysis to see where you can go in the Newcastle midfield because there is points there. Someone will get points. If you get it right, it's a very good differential to have.
yeah. I think that's a strong point because Joel Linton was playing on the left side in place of Saint Maximin when he was injured. So he was getting all those points, and Murphy was playing in the right where Almiron was playing. But Almiron is now back. We are not sure Murphy will continue to play that. Similarly, Saint Maximin is back, and last week Anthony Gordon played on the left side, so which meant Joel Linton went back. So it, as you said, a little bit more clarity will be known after game week 35 against Arsenal.
Yeah.
So let's wait and watch. Yeah. Yes.
So I think you're done right answering that question.
Yeah,
Uh,
Yeah,
yes.
yeah.
I'm not totally convinced with Lock. So what that and with
Yeah.
regards to captaincy, I think Kane is someone I had to with a lot of pain I had to transfer him out just to stick with
Mhm.
the template a bit. I mean, me and Sankalp we had a discussion, and I pulled the trigger to get in Salah. I had to ship out Kane, but
Yeah,
I
yeah,
wanted to
yeah.
really keep Kane, but I couldn't. The
Mhm.
FOMO was too much for me because I was somewhere around 150k, and I was like, for me to end the season is probably to just hold my place wherever I am at the moment.
Consolidate.
That
Yeah.
might be the
Mhm.
best finish at this point. So I was like, it's fine. But Kane is
Mhm.
someone I think who will level, and Spurs at home have been, I mean, decent. But hopefully they play well in the
And
first half. They have become
is the
more of a
coach,
second
right?
half as well. So
Uh,
Yeah, yeah,
I think
yeah.
the coach is fairly attacking one. Ryan Mason wants his team to attack, right? He focuses a lot on simple things, right? And even I remember, I think, a couple of seasons back when they sacked Mourinho and Ryan Mason came in, right? Kane and Son went on a good run that really helped them,
Mm.
right? So it's just the fact that they have a good coach. They have a coach who will help, who will completely focus on attack, right?
Yeah,
And they scored three goals against Liverpool, right? And they lost.
yeah, yeah.
They'll be extremely pissed, and those kind of comeback things, right, you love to look at, right? They'll come in really pissed because they lost that game, they lost points, and
Mhm.
I think they can take Palace to the cleaners.
Yeah. Yeah, let's see.
okay, we've just got another question just before I was just going to wind up. Let's just quickly answer this one and then wind up. We're almost touching an hour mark, so we can't
Yeah, yeah.
drag it more. Want Bruno? There's no way I can keep Kane, Salah, Haaland, Bruno. When is a good time? I think we have covered this a bit earlier. So
37.
somewhere around when we had
37
it
you
our
have
double
time.
game week. Yeah.
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 So that's the week you'll have to do that move. So yeah.
Oh,
So that pretty much sums up what we've discussed. I think we've discussed everything that's relevant for Game Week 35 and a bit of our early insight plan for the next few weeks, including the doubles and the players to pick and punts slash differentials. Thanks a lot to Sankalp and Surya for taking your time. I mean, 1 hour is 1 hour, and a deadline is pretty much fast. It's approaching. I think tomorrow afternoon is for us in India, and I think around in the morning is
yeah,
there. It's in the UK. So yeah,
yeah,
so making decided transfers and getting your players in where you want, there will be price rises here and there. If not roll the transfer, probably the safest thing this week would be to roll your transfers and wait
yeah,
for the
yeah,
city
yeah,
news.
yeah.
And yeah,
Let's see
so yeah,
how that
that brings
goes.
us
Yeah,
to the end.
yeah.
Brings us to the end of this episode. Hopefully, we've covered everything. Any closing words, guys, before we wrap it up?
I think it was good. I think we have managed to discuss a lot and keep it under an hour, which means we are ending. We are closing to the end of the season. There is no free hit or wild card to discuss or any other things
Yeah.
to discuss. So, it's all about the puns. Yeah. So yeah, it was a good one, guys. Yeah.
Yeah, one thing I would like to just say from my personal experience, right? I did a 33 wildcard and 34 bench boost this time, and most of the people I think went for 26 wildcard and 29 bench boost. My learnings from the entire thing is like I think it makes more sense to stick to the crowd when it comes to the chips, right? So this is something that I've learned this time at least. Do it early, play your wildcard, play your chips early because you can create a lot more impact out of it. It came out as a boring move, but the boring move was the correct one.
Unfortunately, this year itself, everything has become boring.
Yeah.
So rather than the chips, everything has become boring.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
That being said, I think let's finally wrap up this
Yeah.
episode, and we'll see you all guys
Yeah.
next time before Gaming
Guys, all the
36.
best. Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
Bye
Cheers,
bye.
guys.
Okay.
Yeah. Bye bye.